All kinds of paperwork tonight.
Yeah, look at this, I think, well, that's not good.
Oh, do you both want copies?
No,
Okay. I'm all set, yeah.
Okay. Yep, we'll, open the public hearing, the two tax bills for the exchange. Bob, why don't you fill everybody in on, who's the one that did the nice graph up here?
All right. The, 2 years ago, I guess, at town meeting, it was voted to, move to 2 tax bills a year instead of 1. And what that does for the people is allows them to make a half payment and, save a little bit of interest, I guess, whatever. You don't have to make a whole payment all at once. It's still the same amount, but it's a service that many towns, provide to their, citizens. What we discovered, though, was to actually implement it is a little more complicated. And the critical issue has to do with issuing a tax bill that comes due within the fiscal year that it's issued. And I'll just go through quickly here what we currently have. Right now our fiscal year is actually the calendar year. I got a point there. Well, that doesn't work. So if you look on this graph or this pictorial up here, it says the 1 January to 31 December calendar year. Our fiscal year is the calendar year, so it starts January 1st. And then we have our March town meeting, first weekend in March. And then on April 1st, the tax valuation is set. That's state law, says as of April 1st, that's the valuation of your property. And then the next, and that's an important date, by the way. Then in April, the school budget gets set. The town gets notified of what the budget's gonna be. Generally, we go and vote on the town budget in April. Then in September, we have the tax commitment. And the time between the April 1st tax valuation date and the tax commitment date is when our assessor's out talking to people about do they want to challenge their assessment, whatnot. Getting all the paperwork in line to actually issue a tax commitment. And that tax commitment is for the fiscal year that started back in January. So we're operating on money that we expect to come when people pay their taxes in November. That's when the taxes are due. So we operate the whole year on what we expect to get paid for taxes. So the year's almost over when we actually submit the bills to you. And then 30 December, that's when the fiscal year ends. Now the problem with this, for doing the 2 tax bills, is we can get the 1 November tax bill in, but we can't get another one 6 months away, because then you're into the next fiscal year. So, the way you get to where we want to go is you have to have a transition 6-month budget that allows us to slide our fiscal year to starting July 1st, and then it would end June 30th the following calendar year. And the way you do that is through this transition budget, right here, which is a 6-month budget. And to get there, we would need to, sometime in December, hold a special town meeting to come up with a budget for 6 months. And then around 3 January, the assessor would issue a tax bill for that 6-month budget. And again, the April 1st tax valuation comes. In April, the school budget gets set. 1 May is when the tax the 6-month tax bill will probably be due, a rough date, but right about then. And then what we're proposing is that we switch the town meeting to May, first week of May. And that's when we set the budget for the next fiscal year, which would be starting July 1st to June 30th the following year. And that would be a standard 12-month fiscal year. And then that's the end of the transition budget and start of the next fiscal year. That gets us into what would regularly be 12-month budgets thereafter. And you see what it looks like right there. So that process would get us to where we want to be. We could issue, we'd have our tax evaluation, and then we would issue here we would issue a tax commitment, and then one in, or a tax date, 1 November, and one May, and they would both be in the same fiscal year. It kind of straddles the calendar year like that. That's the way a lot of the towns do it, by the way. In addition to giving people 2 tax bills, it does a whole lot for the town in terms of managing the budget. Because right now, when we go to develop a budget, it's mostly estimates or guesstimates. Because I'll show you here. At town meeting is when we present the budget. At this point, we don't know the most important number, which is the school number. We don't know that until the school budget is set, which is usually a couple weeks later than the town meeting, but it can be into mid-April, I think, is when it gets voted on. We don't know what the tax, the assessor has not told us what the assessed value of the town is going to be yet. We don't know that until we get up right close to tax commitment. So that's another big number that we guesstimate at, but we don't know. We also don't know what the state revenue sharing is going to be, what the county tax is going to be, and a couple other things. If we move to the other system, those are all knowns. We can just very quickly build a budget based on the knowns. So I would say we would advocate for it. There is one downside for the taxpayers, and that's in the transition. If you think about it, if you look at this transition budget and think about what would happen this fall, you'd be issued a tax bill on November, or thereabouts, or one that's due 1 November, and it's for a full year. Realizing it's for the year just passed, but it's for a full year. When we get into the transition budget, you're going to be issued a tax bill that's due about 1 May. It's for half of a tax bill, what you normally see. But it's got to come 6 months earlier than you normally get it. You would normally wait another full year and get another full one. Now you're going to get a half of one in May, and you get another half one later. It's still the same amount of tax, but it's going to come a little earlier than you expected. So that's the downside to it. So, my point of view is it's a worthwhile thing to do just in terms of managing the finances of the town. So you can build a budget and have a lot more certainty as to what the impact will be on the tax rates and all that's going on when the bills are going to come out that fall.
So you had something?
Yeah, there are a few things actually occurred to me while you were talking. The school board must be working a heck of a lot more efficiently than when I was on it. Because when I was on the school board, we generally voted in May. It is the July 1 to June 30th calendar, that the school is on. And I remember actually running into June with second votes,
Yeah.
because the school budget got turned down, you know, which happens.
What happens is they, Carl Landry meets with the selectmen prior to that, and I think it was mid-April, we knew exactly what the budget was gonna be, what was gonna go before the voters.
So that's what you're talking about, this is what's gonna go before, okay.
Yeah.
I was never so optimistic.
Well, we just made it this year, you know, and that's one of the things about having a known budget, is this year, there was a fairly high increase in Baldwin's share of the school budget. And that had an impact on the express mill rate. There was also, this year, what happened was a fairly large bump up in the undesignated fund balance. Almost $300,000, I think. And when we put the budget in front of the voters, we didn't include money from the undesignated fund balance. But when the auditor's report came just the day before town meeting, it looked pretty good. So that's what we're trying to correct right now, is the two of those balancing out. We're taking the other article we didn't talk about yet, but it's moving $80,000, $274,000 in, increase in the fund balance this last year, 2020. So that's money that we're moving, but, you know, if we had known that at budget time, we would have saved this meeting probably.
So, we would get a bill due in November, just like August.
Right.
And 6 months later, we would get a half a bill, so to speak, a bill for half the amount of our yearly taxes.
Right.
And 6 months later, we'd get the bill for half of our yearly taxes.
The other half.
So, the squeeze is that we have to save the same amount per month that we always did. And
for those people who have
Same.
escrow
Same.
accounts,
it's not like you're gonna hit us with more money in
No.
a yearly period. It's that,
Right.
it's just how it gets, how we
it
see
just
it.
depends. If you're on have a mortgage and you have an escrow account, you just tell your bank, I'm gonna get a half the bill now, and the other half later.
Yep.
They take care of it for you. For people who paying on their own, and I don't know, getting the money some other way, might go, holy cow, I didn't expect the bill, now, I'm expecting it later, but.
The people who might have a problem with that would be people who own a house in Baldwin as a second home. They wouldn't know about this meeting we're having tonight.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know what's coming up. They might be the ones that, what the heck's this bill? What's the town of Baldwin doing? And I think one of the hardest jobs you guys have is dealing with delinquent taxes. I mean, I watch you guys struggle, and that is just horrible. Just all the way through that process,
Mhm.
horrible.
But that's the gist of it, and, any more questions, or?
So, just to be clear, you said this was already voted on in the past, right? And this is just working out the logistics of that.
Well, let me clarify. At town meeting, we voted to do 2 tax bills, but we can't do it until, we actually change the fiscal year for the town. And the selectmen have the authority to just implement it. We can change the fiscal year, we can change the date of the town meeting, but, this is not something that you wanna do over the objections of people, because we're very traditional, and, people wanna know what's going on.
I agree.
And so what,
We wouldn't be around long.
what we're having at the town, at the special town meeting, a few weeks hence, is an advisory vote. Do you folks really wanna do this or not? And if we find that the majority of people just don't want to do it, we probably won't. But, just to get a sense of where people are with it, because I don't think it was well understood what was involved in implementing the two tax bills.
We didn't know the details of it at that time, right? We had to change fiscal year, we found that out afterwards, so.
Well, the assessors pointed out a lot of stuff to us.
Yeah, yeah, it was,
Brought a lot of stuff to light that we didn't.
yeah, it was,
Which I think would be quite disinvolved.
it was our auditor that first brought it up, saying that we should do that, because it brings money into the town more evenly, you know, so it, so it, we said, okay, we'll see if the people want it, so.
And there's a whole bunch of the town meeting warrant articles that you could do away with. And, you know, spending money before you get the money and all that.
Or having to borrow it.
Yeah,
Right.
borrow it,
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff goes away. Okay, I would recommend it to people, if they ask me, just strictly from the ability to manage the finances of the town.
Could I make a suggestion that you, make the date of the town meeting certain, you know, because you say, well, around the beginning of May, make it the second Saturday in May.
Yeah.
Because we know it's the second Saturday in March.
Yeah.
And just, you know,
Yeah,
Kind
no,
of
that's-
somewhat traditional.
Consistent.
Yeah.
Easier to remember.
yeah.
good.
When we get hit with a school budget, like Bob says, you know, our biggest bill we pay here is the school budget.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, the school budget bill went up from $135,000 to $143,000. So it went up $7,000 a month. That was quite a hit and stuff like that, so. Like, he says we can manage stuff a little bit better if we know a little bit ahead of time.
When we were building the budget, I wasn't on the board at the time, but Dwight told me, expect a 10% increase in the school budget.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
what
so-
That's what they go up, yeah.
And, you know, that was a pretty high thing. I think it actually came in at around 5. or
Yeah,
something like that.
4.8.
But as a result of that, we put a little bit of windage on everything and skinny everything down. And, but if we'd known exactly what it was, we could have honed in on the budget much better, I think.
Yeah.
This April first tax valuation that comes from the state, you said,
Yeah.
is that the same valuation they then send to the school board?
No, the April 1st date is for our assessor, and that's the state law says whoever owns the property and what it's valued at as of April 1st, is who pays the taxes. And then our assessor assumes that that's the value you're gonna pay taxes on. And, for the, people with business equipment, he sends out 706 request which says, list all your equipment, you know, and, if you don't agree with what I think you got, then it's time to talk now. And, you as a taxpayer can, question the value of what you received as an assessment, and it's that period from April 1st until you actually, I don't know, if it's a 60-day challenge window or something, I don't know all the details, but that's the starting date when the assessor gets to a point, 5 or 6 months later, we can actually do build a commitment document.
Well,
I don't know when the school board gets their number.
late. It was quite late in the budget process they had,
Yeah.
where they got it. I'd say, I don't know, do you remember when we actually heard that the evaluation that Baldwin was gonna be have a higher evaluation than the others
You mean with the school budget?
in the school budget?
Because we started talking about in February,
Yes, I know.
and
But
Carla
we
had
didn't have the
indicated,
numbers or anything.
indicated that because Baldwin is in Cumberland County and their tax assessment higher, we take a little more load.
Yeah.
That's about all I know about how it works. He doesn't really know the nitty gritty arithmetic that
Until
makes
pretty
it working.
late, it was in May or something like that.
Yeah,
And
we,
we finally saw that, it might have even been.
late April or May, we voted, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I can tell you, as a selectman,
and we just get from the state, this is your
we
evaluation.
got a pretty good number from them in April.
Yeah, we did.
We went to a meeting with Carl, he said, this is what the numbers
Yeah,
are.
I don't remember when
Yeah, no,
all the meetings are.
It was well ahead of the vote on the town budget.
Yeah, by the time he presents something that resembles a finalized budget to the board, it's the same that goes to you a couple weeks after, and then it's presented to the public, so it's all the same thing.
Okay,
Um,
but it seems when you're looking at this, the only real date that's a given date is that April first.
That's kind of the peg that you have to work around, that's right.
You know, that I don't know whether you can shift everything or anything to do this. Can you pick your fiscal year date?
You can, I think Cornish uses theirs starts February first, I think. It's the
So you
weirdest thing.
could start April first.
You could, but the nice thing about moving it to be in sync with the state and the school budget is that we're all in sync, we're working from the same timeline. I mean, right now with, Standish, we bridge their fiscal year, right?
Right.
Yeah, we get every year, we get these things where we can tell you what it is, but it's only for next year, and, you know, we have to go back and budget. It would just put everything in sync with everybody else, and,
I think that's a good thing.
yeah. But no, you can do what you
I
want.
don't know how you do it, but
I think Parsonsfield has their fiscal year starting, July first, but they have their town meeting in September. I don't know if they issue two tax bills there or not, but.
No, they don't.
They don't. So, I looked at what other towns are doing. The majority of them, if they do have the 1 July fiscal year start date, have a town meeting in the month or two just before that. So it's either June or May, which is good. You get your budget done and you go execute.
we wouldn't have to worry about snow for a May town meeting.
So the other article that we don't have a slide for was the one concerning moving $80,000 from the, undesignated fund balance, and committing it to reducing the mill rate. And, based on the budget that we presented at town meeting, we predicted a mill rate of 14.43, I think, which is higher than what we had last year. By moving some money from the undesignated fund balance, $80,000, we can bring it down to about $13.55, which is just a little bit less than what we paid this year, which I think it's worthwhile to do. There's a number of things that influence the undesignated fund balance, and these revenues that come in that you don't know it's gonna be, like a solar farm comes in and applies for a building permit, there's a chunk of money, very sizable. Deb has said that there's a lot of people registering cars for the last couple of years, and it said this year they're going gangbusters, people buying new cars, registering cars. A lot of revenue comes in that way. When I asked Ben Thompson about whether the numbers look right he said, yeah, and in fact, there's a lot of revenue coming in from, people cashing in or paying tree growth penalty. So those things that come in and, add revenue that you can't anticipate. And I think it's a good idea to return some of that to the taxpayers, you know?
What did we say there was an undesignated fund balance, we just looked at that today?
Yeah, that was, I think it just says 274,000 was as of the end of December, what the auditor told us. It's pretty good because, the year before, it had gotten down to, well, let me clarify one thing. It's recommended that you keep at least 25 or 26% of money in your undesignated fund balance, 25 to 26% of your operating budget. And that's in case you get a big bill or your revenue doesn't come in when you expect it to. And it's particularly important when you're spending money before you actually bill for it, you know, actually send the bill out for it. Last year, it looked like the undesignated fund balance got down to about 17%, very low compared to what it should be. So, we've recovered a lot, and, I think we're in good shape in that regard, so. Any other questions?
You don't expect us to say, no, raise our taxes.
That's usually what we do here.
Yeah, we're happy, I'm happy.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions, comments? No? Okay. I guess we'll close the public hearing then. And call the order regular meeting. First thing is to review July 13th, 2021 minutes. Don't have that for you.
You guys sent me into the
I've read the minutes and I, move that they be accepted as written.
All in favor?
She's going to have to.
She's going to answer.
I haven't seen it once, so.
Oh, you don't see one? You can look at those, yeah.
Hi, Jim. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, reserve transfer for culvert installations. Do we need to vote on that?
I already voted to do it.
Oh, yeah, that we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanna make sure. I got an email from, Estes wondering, about posting for closing the road and also when you want to start.
Is he responsible for closing the road, or are we?
Not in the details, no, so that's what, we've never, I think we did it a long time ago. I just have to go back in my notes on the process and lead time and all that.
You know, I'm just thinking today, when we did the Dearborn Bridge, it was a contract that had been written up by our architect, I think. And I had all the weird, here twos and therefore,
We did the other two culverts, the one up on the Senator Black Road and the one over on,
The one that broke by
Yeah.
Anderson,
Yeah,
did
we
we
did
close
that.
those?
did you do that with a formal contract? So,
it was just word of mouth.
okay, and somebody needs to tell Steve Estes to start, I guess. And, we voted to award the contract. That's something that Brian normally manages, is it not?
Yeah.
So maybe we just need to,
I think maybe they ought to just have something in the shopper's guide, say they're gonna do it at such and such a day,
Yeah,
and we'll just let the people know,
yeah.
this is up to your son's house.
There's only two people on the road, you gotta
That's
tell.
right.
I think you're wasting your money going to the shopper's guy. Really?
Send a letter or something, and notify?
Want to call my son and tell him?
Call him.
Nickel, I mean, you know.
Nickel, we don't wanna dig that culvert out, have Nickel try to get to work.
Just set the date,
Yeah.
you know, I'm perfectly willing to tell my son.
You're not gonna get out of the road for a day.
Yeah, and he's just
Parking
he's
cars
parking
inside.
inside.
Yeah. They do it during the snow when it's so icy there that they can't drive up the driveway
Yeah.
before the town gets there to plow it out and make it right.
Maybe I'll just pick a date.
You wanna have Steve start as soon as, you know, when it's convenient for him, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Can you respond and ask what his schedule is and when he wants to start?
yeah, we want to start, and, you know, make sure we know so we can notify the people on that road.
Brian has delivered the culvert to the location, so the culvert's already there, sitting there, ready for him.
Yeah.
So it's not like they don't know.
Right, I think the culvert's in.
Right, it's working.
So, yep, I can touch base with Steve, yep.
Okay.
Danielle, the wording here on the, item for discussion is reserve transfer. Is there a question of how to spend the money?
I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that was all set,
I think all Deb has to do is pay that once, pay the bill out of the reserve account.
is that how that works? Okay.
She just needs to transfer it over and then do it again.
I think some of that's my fault, because I wanted to make sure,
Yeah,
where we was having a public meeting, we had to do a vote on it,
yeah.
when you do it, so.
Okay.
Town owned map, 5 lot 62 update.
But Danielle said before the meeting, I didn't recognize that one. It's that lot down, Dunn's Deep Vale, whatever.
That's the whole file here, if you guys wanna dig through it.
Yeah, it's the one of those old campsites.
Oh, this is the one that the guy just called you back on.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, just 'cause he wanted me to bring it up.
And the problem was that somehow we screwed up the taxing of it last year, I think. One part of it was sold, and I think we taxed them for both, and then foreclosed on it or something, I don't know.
What was strange is that it originally was lot 62, they were being taxed on 0.7 acres, lot 62. When it changed over to Cumberland County assessing, they had lot 5, 61, and 62, still 0.7 acres.
Mm.
So it's in there, and I sent it to him, so it's different, yeah.
So the question for us to consider though is, if the owner comes in and pays the back taxes, will we redeem the property? And that's generally the first thing that we do, is we offer them a chance to redeem the property if they pay up all the back taxes
I think we should do that.
and this year's taxes as well, even though the tax bill isn't this year.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yep,
The only issue is that, there's 3 people on that account, and this is one of the sons calling, so he has to contact the other heirs to release their.
I'll let Chris is one of them to pay the bill.
Right,
Yeah.
so, in other words, and I explained that to him, if he pays all the taxes, it's gonna still stay in those 3 names until he gets the deed change, so he
Yeah.
was okay with that. He is gonna call you, cause I guess there's a fallen down camp, it's a footprint of a fallen down camp, and he wants to know, it's 0.7 acres, if that lot is grandfathered, does he have to build in that footprint, or can he do other stuff? So he's gonna be contacting you and asking what he can do, because if he can't do anything with the property, he's probably not gonna redeem it.
He had talked to me about it, and I said, I'll have to go out and walk it with him, but as long as I gotta see what the circumstances are right on the land before I make a decision.
That's the gist of it, yep. It was nice to hear, for I said, we've been trying to get a hold of you people for quite some time, so that's a good thing.
Unknown property, sale and terms. That's the one, that's the one we just put up to bed.
You rejected.
Yeah.
Yep.
When we do that, I think we should lower the minimum.
Well, we kind of tossed it around a little bit. One idea is to lower the minimum to the bid we got, and then hopefully some other people will bid it up, I don't know. The other thing is Danielle suggested that we look at what the tax bills, that were due over the last 5 or 6 years, I guess, since we started calculating taxes on it again, and look at the amount of money that we put into researching the ownership and whatnot, come up with a total, and see if we wanna use that as a minimum.
Try to recoup some money, huh?
The idea is to recoup what's into it, I wouldn't mind working with Danielle to look at that number and see what it comes up to, see how it compares to what, the bid that we received, see if, way to go.
Okay.
You know, at the end of the day, it's put a number on it and see what you get, but.
Yeah.
But you have to have a starting place, and that's as good as any, so.
Yeah. I like to get back on the tax map and we start generating, how many years has this been floating around? For a while, hasn't it?
30, 40 years.
Yeah, so we've lost a lot of money on it and get it back on the taxes.
No, we'll never get that back.
Oh, no. The longer we wait, the just more and more I can use them.
I feel that let's take a week and do some figuring.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
You know, I'm against dropping the price on it, you know, myself, because I think it's worth more than what they say it is.
Yeah.
Well, I can understand the lower bid because it's kind of a risky
It is.
investment. Because, you know, for 40 years, you have to have the quick claim deed, and somebody can come along and take it on you, one of the heirs, and you're out that money.
Or they could buy it, cut all the property off on it, you know, pocket the money and then lose the land again.
Yeah.
You know? I guess I'd vote for, let's see what it comes out to first.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, we'll run the numbers and see what it comes out to, and say, probably go to starting place then,
Down Old River Road property, sales and terms.
This is Van Deep
Yeah,
property.
This is the file for that one. You guys wanna take a look? So the property's valued at $50,800.
50,000.
That's one we really don't know the acreage on, right? We've done some
Well, I
calculating.
think we know what it is, it's just not what we listed it as in the,
Yeah,
in our taxing documents. But you can see what got cut. We have a lot of those problems, by the way. I was looking at that folder that Danielle had about lots that just don't add up. That, Cumberland County notifies about.
We had a lot of certified letters flowing on that property.
I've already looked at that.
Yeah,
You look at this?
Yeah, the easiest thing is when somebody, says, okay, we'll pay the back taxes and come get it.
yeah,
And then you don't have to worry about all this stuff. If you like, Daniel and I can also put together a number based on some kind of a rationale similar to the other one. See what it comes up to, so we'll have a number to look at and consider at the next meeting.
okay.
I'm all for that.
Yep. Leaking roof community center wing,
Still leaking.
still leaking. Do we have somebody look at it, or get an estimate, or fix
Where is
it?
it? Where is it?
The same place, Dwight caulked it, right?
Yeah, I caulked the window and stuff, I don't know, when you and I looked, I got some clear caulking and did all that and stuff. But I just went down tonight and looked at the floor down there, and it's still a little moist.
And Randy's been trying to use his machine to sop it all up, and he runs the fans every time, and I turn them on when I get here and shut them off when he's not here, so.
I think it goes all the way up.
Yes?
I believe it's the same leak we talked about, Selectmen, right?
Right.
It's up and flashing, and it's down up on the roof and looked at it. The roof is actually lifted back, leaking between the drip edge, coming down the fascia and leaking inside the wall. That's where it's actually leaking, so caulking around the windows, it's not gonna seal, it's up on the top.
It's up on the top.
Is where it's gonna be done. We did have a couple contractors look at it, but we never went anywhere with it.
Right, yeah, I thought that's the same spot.
Yep.
I thought Adam fixed it.
He did. Well, he temporary fixed it.
Little Band-Aid type of thing.
Was it Adam Childs?
Yep.
Adam Charles, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he and this guy come up and, did some work on that, and did some work on the front part of the windows.
Right,
and
make
stuff.
sure the window trim, but he didn't go to the top, to the roof. That's where the leak started, he was coming right down in behind it.
I wonder if he could look at that again then.
You guys will let me know.
You got contact with him?
Yep, his wife works here.
That's what I thought you told me. What do you guys say?
Yeah.
No, for it, yeah, we gotta get it fixed with something,
Yeah.
with rock.
Call Adam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Review WMTWT8 tower response to red zone. What's that about? I don't know.
Do you guys wanna update the information norming games today, or?
What's the,
Maybe you can fill us in, Danielle, as to what the background is, the
So-
discussions with Red Zone.
Yep, so just some initial conversations with Red Zone, they looked at some towers in the area, and they really like the Channel 8 tower, so they wanted a contact for the tower as far as like, different options, putting their equipment on that tower. So I drove out and on the sign, Channel 8 towers, contact information engineer. So I took a picture of it and I sent it to Red Zone. He made contact with the engineer on the sign. Within email conversations between them, he came back and said, yep, but, you can't put any equipment above 200 feet. So I reached out to Norman Blake and I sent him, I said, this is, towers are your thing, so can you, and I kinda gave him a little bit of background, and he emailed me back, he said, absolutely not, Channel 8 CUP, they should be able to put whatever they want on that tower, to go through Channel 8, any equipment, especially stuff like this, and there is no 200-foot limit. So he came in today again, and he just said, you know, I really think the selectmen should contact Channel 8, get on a call with them on Zoom, or have them in here. He says, I would be really willing to come in, because he worked on the CUP and did a lot of research and a lot of work on that CUP. And he says, what they're telling him is not correct.
Okay.
Cell phones should be able to use cell phone towers. He says, red zone, absolutely. He says, that's why we wrote the CUP the way we did, was to allow for other equipment to go on that tower and benefit Baldwin.
So, go back closer to the beginning for me, if you would. Was this all part of our investigation into, improving the, internet access for the town?
Yes.
So Red Zone contacted you, or you contacted them?
I contacted Red Zone about 3 or 4 years ago. We talked about Red Zone in a selectmen meeting. So I just reached out to them and said, you know, we're really having a hard time with COVID and people remotely logging in. There was a huge internet issue. And Spectrum has contacted us. We're looking for different options and started the conversation.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll bring out the CUP and see what it says.
He said Norman could help.
Norman really wants to help with us because he works really hard. He says that's why it was written the way it did, to not restrict things, you know, equipment, different types of equipment going on that tower to benefit Baldwin. And he was saying, you know, I was thinking cell phone, but a red zone, absolutely, anything like that.
Yeah, cause Cumberland County's got a repeater up there too.
Right.
Yeah, I'm all for having Norm being involved.
Do you want to move forward and actually speak to Channel 8, set up a meeting?
Oh, I'd like to see what the CUP exactly says first.
CUP first?
Yeah.
Okay.
And get Norman in there too.
And get Norman, okay.
Yeah.
You want to do this at the next workshop?
Sure.
Okay.
Nice thing about Red Zone is it's a different, or it's another alternative.
Side Spectrum and.
Well, we've got Spectrum and Consolidated Communications now,
Yeah.
and, this would be a third alternative.
Yeah.
Nice to have alternatives.
I think going wireless is the way to go. I think going wireless is the way to go.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll take a look at it. Have Norm come in. In the meantime, I'll see if I can dig out the CUP and find out exactly what it says. I guess this would be a good time though. I get Consumers Report, and in the August edition, they talk about broadband blues and how people rate their broadband service. Nobody likes what they got. I don't care. There must be 20 companies on here, and nobody's really very happy with them, with the exception of one called Sonic and Google Fiber. But Spectrum is not rated real well, and Consolidated Communications is just a little bit below. According to their note here, they're probably rated about the same. A lot of red on the chart. So, I think one of the issues is you always think you're paying too much for what you're getting.
All the sign up dates. you able to contact any sign makers?
Yep, I guess I'm asking for a little bit more time, because I haven't gotten everybody's quote.
Okay.
I contacted Selectmen Sign Works, Moonshine Signs, the Sign Guy, Banacom Signs,
Wow.
and Mad Hen Signs. And one more, ConwayEmbroidery.com, that's one. So I have 2 quotes so far, but I do need to contact them. Sebago Sign Works did quote out 2 aluminum signs. They did not include installation. I just want to verify that we want them installed too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they have to add that. Right now with the signs, only metal aluminum signs, exactly the picture you sent,
Yeah.
the dimensions. It
Yeah.
comes to $2,395
Per sign,
for 2 signs.
for 2 signs.
Yep. M&H Signs provided a quote, and I have to ask them, it doesn't say if it's aluminum or wood. So this quote includes installation, 2 signs, $3,445. So I guess I just wanted to have a little bit more time to work on this, and I'll have some solid quotes next meeting.
Okay. I was thinking too, maybe putting the ad on the shopper's guide, and if anybody local could do it.
Yeah, that's up to you guys.
Yeah.
I remember did them last time.
Rose something designed down at Cornish. I don't even know if they're still in business.
Probably long ago.
I don't know.
That's who did the original one.
Oh,
They installed them and everything, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was quite a while ago, then we had to buy something.
nice and penny, yeah. Yeah.
Do you want me to put them out in the shopper's guide? Or-
I think it'd be worth a shot. Maybe something local could do it, too, but.
$65, money well spent, I think,
Yeah.
just to say.
Yeah.
If we stay with a wooden sign, I think we ought to do what the town of Limerick has done. They've taken signposts and screwed them to the sides of their 4x6s.
Nobody cut them down.
Well, they lost a stop sign over there, an $1,800 stop sign, because somebody got with a, jet saw and just sawed it off and threw it in the back of the pickup and drove off. So, I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Well, it was one of those fancy lighted ones.
Solar power.
Oh, no, yeah.
That's over on East Range Road. They got a new one up there now, but they reinforced stuff one more.
I don't blame them. Tai Chi inquiry for the community center.
Chris Pesney from Hiram came in today and wanted to know if we had an interest or if, we could offer space for his Tai Chi courses. And he wants to do one evening during the week and one morning on the weekend if possible. He does all ages, all skill levels, and he's considering offering this for free or donation based only. I just wanted to ask. That's an option for him.
He's gonna do the class for free or donation based. Is he gonna give the community center any money for using the space?
That's what well, that's what, he doesn't know how it works. He just wants to, he said he doesn't have a problem paying for it. He just wants to know if he can use the space, and then we'll deal with the details later on the costs and all that. I did mention to him that last time before COVID, if it was a low cost, like something like that, if he was just charging people $5, they would pay the volunteers for opening and closing. That's what we did in the past, but I said we have to revisit all that because it's been over a year.
Yeah.
I just have one concern with that. If they allow him to do, if you allow him to do this, and you haven't allowed the other Tai Chi class that was here for so long to come back in, how is that equitable? Because you've told the other Tai Chi class no, right along, they wanted to come in here and use the space.
That was during COVID though, wasn't it?
It was during COVID, but, still, you should offer them the use of the building first if you're going to, it doesn't mean they can't both use it, but if you're gonna let one, you need to offer the other one. also.
Yeah, we can do that.
Noah McKinney would be saying right now, do they have insurance?
Exactly. And the one that was here originally with Bob Mason, they were through the adult ed. So I think insurance-wise, they would have been covered.
Okay.
The other thing we got is, the state's due to come out tomorrow with some new restrictions on COVID, on the mask restrictions and stuff, so we're gonna have to be looking at that again.
Yeah, the CDC is looking to make a recommendation, possibly as soon as tomorrow, about wearing masks in indoor settings again. Yeah.
Great. Just plastic barriers out again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just talk to him more about this, and you want me to reach out to adult ed to see if they would like to use the space?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know there's a lot of people that was taking the adult ed type 2 class, me for one.
Yeah.
And they had to move it to another venue because you closed down here.
Right. Yeah.
And now they can only accommodate 8 people, where we had sometimes 30 people in the class that we had here.
Yeah.
So,
They went from Pike Hall to the Masonic Center over in Cornish.
Oh.
And the Masonic Center over in Cornish has got posts and stuff in the building, so
Oh.
not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do Tai Chi by Zoom.
yeah, I have been doing it by Zoom at home. Yeah. Well, actually, it's a Facebook Live thing.
Is it?
Yeah. Not through here, but it's somebody else that offered it it's a free 21-day challenge, and you can just sign up for 21 days and do the 21 days, and then sign up again and do 21 more days.
Really?
So.
You doing it?
No, don't even go there.
I do it when he's not home.
I've got
See-
2 other community, oh, sorry, go.
She and the dog.
I have 2 other community center requests. One is on your workshop agenda for the Saco River corridor, wanted to use, meeting room.
Yeah.
I think you had a note on that for, you wanted to know the terms or something?
Yeah.
What?
I'm not familiar with the guidelines to let the community center out or.
Oh, in terms of the community center?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's all I was interested in.
Oh, okay.
You know, I have no problem with them doing it. I don't know what we do.
Well, typically nonprofits, we don't charge,
Right. That's a non-profit, okay.
and the Grateful Undead, I got a request last week, from the Grateful Undead by them, but, they're also looking for a meeting place, once per month, and it would be on a Thursday from 3 to 4:30 p.m. So, I don't know if we could offer that as well.
That's not gonna interfere with the after-school program, is it?
Not if I give them a meeting room in here, or,
One of these, yeah.
typically 15 to 20 people.
Will they be paying?
What's that?
Will they be paying?
They're
They're
non-profit.
Seems like we're getting all these non-profits in here.
Well, we do this
Maybe I'll
senior,
change that one.
we do the senior assistants, they do a lot, she sent me a whole, a lot of information on what they do.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
Did you want me to read it, or you got it right here? I'm a member of the nonprofit organization called the Grateful Undead. Lori Downing is also a member and one of the founders of the group. We work with the Saukview Valley Health Center and representatives from 6 towns in our immediate area to help seniors stay in their homes if at all possible. We have transporters, quote, volunteers to transport seniors to medical appointments, handy helpers, phone buddies, etc. We are the folks who publish the resource list to help seniors access important phone numbers since phone books are now obsolete. We are searching for a meeting place where we can hold our regular meetings, which occur at least once a month on Thursdays from 3 to 4:30 or occasional 5 o'clock. There may be a need for subcommittee meetings at other times. Do you have a place available for our meetings? We would need a comfortable space for approximately 15 to 20 people, preferably with several long tables and comfortable chairs. Thank you for your attention. We would appreciate any input.
Count this out.
Uncomfortable chairs, yeah.
I think it sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know there was such a organization that did that.
Oh, you did?
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe she gets home in time to make my supper.
Yeah, you didn't close up, right, Bob, on that one?
Anything else on there?
No, sir. I'm done.
Okay. Reminders, Wednesday, August 4th, at 2 p.m. Staffing, is that already again, staffing? Next week, next Wednesday. Monday, August 16th, 7 p.m. Tri-Town public hearing, yeah, so. Tri-Town's gonna have a public hearing, August 16th, it's gonna get, did Carrie verify that?
I just heard it from, yeah, you guys.
Because it was, last Monday, it was gonna be at 4 to Town Hall.
Oh, okay, I just saw your notes on the workshop, so.
Did I say Hiram, or did I?
I'm sorry, maybe that was my mistake, I gotta look at that. I just assumed Tri-Town was hiring.
Yeah, it is for.
Yeah, it was
Sorry,
on
sorry.
the 4th, yeah.
Sorry.
About raising some money to, improvements over the Tri-Town waste disposal. We're going to enclose the recycling buffer, right? Put a roof over it, put a shelter over it, and then lower it, or build it up, so it'll be all one level.
You guys want those finances first.
Right, yeah, and then have a public hearing on the 16th at 7 p.m. before the town hall report. I would like to see us run our own ad in the traffic side to let the Baldwin residents know that it's gonna be for them too. I know Tri-Town's gonna run their ad, but I'd like to see our ad run as well.
Do you want the same kind of information on it?
Yeah.
So we call it
Just
town
say,
Baldwin
just say
logo?
big bold town, Baldwin citizens,
Okay.
just so they'll know, maybe put it on the Facebook page, on the, website too, on our website. Just make sure people are aware of it. Tuesday, August 17th, special town meeting, and Selectmen workshop. Yeah, we got anything tonight? No, set? Connie?
No,
No, set?
we're good.
You guys all set?
I spoke with, Maine DOT.
Oh, you did about the speed limit, yeah?
Yeah, new project. And they said, so there's two things. It said about if I want to petition to have it lower the speed limit, for example, then that has to go through the town, even though it's state road. Lowering of speed limit has to go through the town.
Go through the town, yeah?
The lady I spoke with, she said that I am about like the signs, like there's no gate break, things like that, that has to go to a separate gentleman, but he's away on vacation until Wednesday.
Okay.
So yeah, I will speak with him again, but the enforcement has to of course go through the sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have his number. I don't know who to contact. Maybe I can get that from you, or.
They said a petition, the town could do a petition and lower the speed limit?
Yes.
Cause that, I didn't,
Then you wanna give them a call? Yeah,
well, no, that would be great, because I know some people on Fremont Avenue that would be all about it.
I was just
And
thinking that.
yeah, just.
we've always been told to do a speed study, go through the town, basically wait a year, get their results, and that's the speed limit. I've never heard, do you have a contact?
I spoke with, Maine DOT, who then transferred me to Scarborough, but because that's there for our area or something. And she said it would have to go to the town, but I'm going to speak hopefully tomorrow or Thursday with a gentleman about the signs, and maybe you can tell me more.
That would be huge, yeah, absolutely, okay. Thank you.
Gee, even, you've got a dialogue started with them, usually we're a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You've done good.
Get the signs up and, yeah, and she said, I mean, she was so friendly, she said that they arranged for like the measuring sign, it was like, save your, but yeah, I think the fastest to start it would be to get somebody down by the church.
Yeah,
Give us directions.
We have a sergeant who's very attentive to this area that I can.
I've never seen someone like,
Okay.
well, yeah, unless they fly by to attend somewhere.
The problem with all of this is that it's great, you can put the signs up, doesn't mean they're gonna follow the rules.
Sure.
They come by my house 90, and the speed limit is 45.
I'm
Shocked, shocked.
I know. You can't even, you start to pull up the driveway, and before you're even halfway out, they're right on you, you know? It's like,
yeah.
really? There was nothing when I turned to go up here.
Yeah, 100%. But I think like psychologically, it feels like people will slow down a bit more than if it goes from 50 to 40. And, I mean.
But it's 40 up there in West Baldwin Village, it's 40 now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what are you proposing?
35.
45.
Well, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Maybe we
Hold on.
do 15, maybe they'll do 30.
Yeah,
exactly.
25.
There used to be a school.
There used to be a school there.
I'll
Yeah.
open one. Dog school.
No, we were thinking 35,
Yeah.
just because there's, opposite us is a bunch of kids, down the road is a bunch of kids next door.
And the fire station's right there, too.
Yeah.
Fire station, yeah,
Post office,
Post
post
office.
office.
church, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
On it. And question, does anybody else see, I mean, it's not really a huge topic, but on Saturday night, did anybody else see UFOs?
No?
No. UFO?
Yeah, it was either a rocket or you,
I think it was.
Really?
it was like a direct line going up
And
and
then,
then just disappeared.
and then it went,
Like 5 of us saw it.
and then it went like this and disappeared, but way too fast for it to be.
About what time?
Like 10:30 p.m.
Yeah.
And going east.
Although on the news, there was a story of, a meteor or something that was widely seen in a number of states, but it was in the Texas area.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was my first instinct, but it was pretty cloudy, so it would have been below the cloud cover.
And not possible to be a drone.
No, yeah, definitely not.
Wow.
It was
It was spooky, yeah.
Yeah.
A bunch of us thought, we were like, what the hell?
I'll report if I find, Google anything, find anything out.
So there you guys got it? All set?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we got,
Two things. One was a question about, you'll be putting notices in the shopping guide if we decide to do the changing of the town meeting and the tax thing, so that those that didn't make the
Yeah.
meeting, or those that want to impress on others, will have a physical thing that,
I like to
here
see
you go.
some mail going out too, you know.
Mail would be really
Yeah.
great to both the ed and
Yeah.
the code.
Yes,
Okay,
just to
Cool.
make sure everybody is aware of what's going on.
Great. They all like the drama, so.
Yeah,
That's the drama.
yeah.
The other is that the library will have their book sale on the 14th of August,
Mhm.
Saturday,
Yeah.
from 8 till 2 in the parking area.
Okay.
14.
14th, Saturday the 14th.
Kathy, I emailed you about the, consolidated communications
Yeah.
you were saying. I just need some direction on that.
I'm trying to get some information from Patrick, because he was the one that received it, he's the one, our
Oh,
IT
okay.
guy.
I thought you
So
got it.
he hasn't responded to me, but I did receive your message.
Okay,
So
awesome.
thank
Just
you.
want to get on that.
I do want to find out about that.
Yep.
We all approved the $100 to make sure that we're connected, so we have Main State Library, communications on a regular basis. We don't want to have any interferences, we have enough already. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
That was it. Joe?
Oh,
All
thank
set?
you.
Good. Bruce?
Just a couple quick things. You get an email about the solar thing on the Colorado Road calling all of it,
Yeah,
is you read down through it, the way I read it, it was a 16-foot wide road. But when they come near the brook, they want to go down to 12 feet when they cross the brook, so they got near the brook. And if I got an 8-foot truck, they don't leave 2 people on each side, and you're only going in one direction. I don't worry about it at that point, the hammerhead on the turnaround,
yeah.
you know, up in there. I just don't think it's wide enough, particularly in the wintertime, once you get plowing and pushing snow back.
Yeah.
Can I ask on behalf of the planning board, is 16 feet adequate for you? That would be going one way, yeah, but you know what I'm saying, but these trucks are 8 foot wide, and that would leave 2 feet if you stayed in the center of the road. Summertime, you'd probably be all right, but what happens in wintertime when the road gets icy and snowy, and then you got the snowbanks?
Yep.
So, what happens with these guys putting in solar farms is that they are very sensitive to any accusations of destroying Mother Nature in any way. And roads are impervious surfaces, and impervious surfaces are horrible things, apparently. So, there's that reason that they want to keep it at 16 feet, and they want to narrow it down to 12 because they don't want to put a bridge over a stream. Yes, that's what I feel that they're doing, but they also have an alternative that they might be able to use. And that's right. They're looking at it, it doesn't say that they have it or anything, but they could set over what the other problem is. We would love it, I would love it if you came to the planning board meeting and told them this. If you don't come, I will do my best to convey what you said. I'm just concerned, and it isn't just that, I'm also, some of these dwellings where the houses going in, these trucks are bigger, and I can tell you that some of them, we're gonna be hitting trees as we're going in through. So this is gonna be an ongoing issue, and it's been going on, it's no worse than going down a camp road, I guess, but it's, if we're doing a solar farm and they're trying to make it so we can have emergency, egress to get in there, in the wintertime, I just feel so we might be looking at a problem. So would you say, I've got to get a definitive statement out of you. That's what I'm trying to do. You're gonna beat me, right? Yeah, I'm gonna beat you. Are you saying 18 feet is your minimum? I'm saying, I'm comfortable with 16, but when you come to 12, there are only 2. Okay, so you're saying 16 is a minimum for you? Okay, that's done. That's done. That comes from the fire department. And we respect that. We appreciate your input very much. Well, I'm just trying to do common sense, and summertime, it'd probably be all right, and we wouldn't have to think twice about it.
Yeah, you're
Just
right.
a little ice and you slide right in.
Yep.
Yep, right over the edge.
I suppose the other aspect, it's just speculation we're dealing with, is you could have 3 calls in 1 year or no calls in 20 years.
Yeah, well, this is true.
True.
But when I have a call, do you expect me to show up or not?
Yeah.
Right, being the fire department, do you expect me to show up or not?
That's a 100% guarantee. We want you there.
The other thing is during the construction, if they're going to come in and then the tractor trailers, that
They
ain't very
make it in
wide.
there.
No, they're not. It's one thing to have a stationary, frame and stuff, there's something else, to have something that bends in the middle.
I didn't know if they're just trying to go on, and nothing against the solar farms or anything, I didn't know if they're just trying to go on the cheap side and not really rebuild the road. And I did look at the map, and I could see across the, stream, or right close to the stream, within 25 feet of it in places, it showed it.
I remember sitting in a planning board meeting, they talked about that. I can't remember what they talked about, why they wanted to narrow that up to go over that stream.
It just comes down to this obsession with being green and not destroying anything green, and water is sacred and all that. It said something about environmental impact. That's the way they say it, yes.
Yeah.
Well, fire truck in the brook is an environmental.
No, I would want the fire company to show up, I want the truck there. That's our job, to put conditions on their permit that make sure that the fire truck can get there. Right.
Yeah.
I just feel so we haven't done this in the past, we haven't looked at it, and it could be the fire department's fault, I don't know whose it is, I just see a problem and wanna bring it out. If we wanna do something, we can do something about it. If we don't,
Yeah.
I gotta live with what's there.
Right.
Well, one of the things you're also telling me is that if we ever go through the ordinance, go through the, you know, the land use ordinance again, that we should think about, height of branches over driveways. I mean, it seems stupid, but, you know, eventually, as the town grows, you're gonna have somebody going down driveways and measuring the heights of branches.
I would say, it may be, but there's some driveways that you have walks now.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, we're gonna have,
When you had the 1936 fire truck, it only stood about this high, it was probably, all right then, but now you're
Yeah.
putting 2,300 gallons of water on, something up higher,
Yeah.
it's a problem.
and so we should think about that more. Thank you.
Other than that, need time to sit down with you so we can get going on the study. We can work out on afterwards tonight.
Okay.
You guys got my truck bills, I know you did. You know what I'm doing?
If it went as bad as I anticipated.
There's more coming, so we're only halfway through it.
Well, it's still better than it's still better than $10,000.
It's 10,000, I thought I was looking at that person, correct. Other than that, I got nothing.
You folks got anything? Ready?
Yeah, I have three issues, but only one that I want to relate wholly on the group with the speed limits.
Mm-hmm.
As we're coming up from your way into East Baldwin, the speed limit sign that you see just after you clear before the fire station, vegetation is growing completely over it. So you don't see it at all. Okay. I have two others I'd just like to ask you afterwards.
Yeah, you got anything?
Yes, I'd like to ask for a meeting with the selectmen to talk about my CUP compliance and about my financial bonding. And I'd like to do that privately. I don't feel comfortable talking about finances in front of everybody. So if I set up a time to speak with one or all, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
We should set up an executive session like that.
Yeah.
To research that, how we do it.
Okay, yeah, we'll get in touch with him. Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
What? Okay.
Did you get a call to look at a place down in East Baldwin? A couple days ago.
Got a lot of calls. What place?
There's a place on the, School Street.
No.
I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Have you contacted Dodge Oil yet about their tenant up there?
No, I haven't. I stopped at John's place twice, nobody was there. I was coming out of Portland today to stop there, but I was crunched for time and I had a meeting at 4 o'clock, so I didn't take the 15 minutes to stop there, but
Okay.
my intention was to, so it's still on my agenda.
Okay. I was at Whistle Stop last night, Whistle Stop out of there with tires squealing and rubber burning and everything else.
Dwight's seen that in action too.
Yeah.
Well, you and I was together when they
Yeah,
did that.
he's still doing it.
But he got a call from the sheriff. The sheriff went over and talked to him, and he denied it.
Yep.
He denied that he was doing it.
I said, Whistle Stop has video coverage of it. It's happening in their parking lot repeatedly. I was down the other day and I spoke to him about it, because he literally came into the parking lot and there's customers there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah, just some total disregard of it. Bob, you got anything? What?
No.
Come on, Sal. Good meeting. Okay. Adjourn this meeting.
Did Danielle have anything to?
Oh, yeah, I was